chains off. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is take the chains off. All we want to do is break the chains off. All we want to do is break the cream. All we want to do is...
KBLA Talk 1580. Say his name. Amir Locke. Say his name. And we're going to do a little deep dive here. Find out what's happening with the quest for justice for Amir Locke. We're being joined right now by Amir's mom. This has been boots on the ground, she says, since the execution of her son, Amir Locke, as she calls it, on 2/22, February 2nd, 2022. And she joins us this morning. Karen Wells, welcome.
Thank you, Dominique. Thank you for having me today on your show.
I thank you for joining us. You know, I hate to say this, but I feel like because so many police murders of black people, especially young people, are happening, that folks don't always, it's hard to keep track, really. So remind people, Amir Locke was shot by Minneapolis Police. This is in Minneapolis. Supposedly serving a warrant or working on a homicide investigation. Share from your perspective what happened.
So when I received the call on 2/2/22, we were actually both had relocated and was living in Dallas, Texas in 2018. I received a phone call basically saying that there was a no-knock warrant that was served upon the apartment where my son, Amir Locke, was actually visiting his cousin. He was sleeping over there on the couch, and they served a no-knock warrant. Now, mind you, it was a no-knock warrant for search for property, not a person, search for property. So they utilized, Minneapolis decided to do a no-knock warrant for property. They were not looking for a person. So they entered the apartment where my son was sleeping on the couch with a key, a key fob, a keyless entry. They went in, and upon entry, after 9 seconds of entering, they shot my son 5 times. And he never got to, say who he was. Basically, when they entered, he was startled. There was an officer that actually kicked the couch twice. So they knew somebody was sleeping underneath the blanket on the couch when they entered in the apartment upon entry. And he kicked the couch twice, startled my son. You could tell in the body cam footage, my son was startled, trying to become alert, but it was like at 6:48 a.m. in the morning. And he reached for a legal firearm, and he never pointed it to any of the officers. He restrained himself. You could still tell he's trying to figure out what's going on with the yelling and the screaming and the lights. It's at night, the TV's on. It's dark, and they executed my baby in 9 seconds.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean, I've read it, but hearing it from you, it was devastating.
Yeah. It's a hard pill to swallow and accept.
Yeah. And you're not accepting it.
No, I'm not accepting it. His father's not accepting it. We're not accepting it at all.
Yeah. So what does that look like? You say you've been boots on the ground. I mean, obviously they cannot give you back your child, but what is it that you've been doing in the search for justice?
When I say boots on the ground, I mean from day one. I have people ask me, how do you do it? I do it because I have to keep my son's name out here. I have to keep saying his name. I have to keep speaking, letting people know what happened, because, they want to put, our loved ones out here like it's justified, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. Yes, there is. You know, we got a bill passed in May of 2023 in Minnesota. Governor Walz signed a bill into law restricting no-knock warrants. So they can't do no-knock warrants in Minnesota.
Congratulations. I mean, those are solid victories.
Yes, it's bittersweet, because I know, it won't bring my son back. But like I said, we have to keep fighting for justice. We're still fighting for justice. We're not going to stop. We want the officers involved prosecuted to the fullest. We want them to lose their job. We want them to be fired. We want them to face, they need to. I don't expect, like Attorney General Keith Ellison, when he decided not to charge. I don't expect you to be the judge and the jury. We need the officer to go up in front and explain what happened. And we would be more, respectful if they just did what they needed to do and charge the officer. And then if it came back that they decided that we're not going to charge, our family we would be respectful of that. Of course, we wouldn't be happy, but we would respect the decision.
You mean if a grand jury made that decision?
Yes, because we don't think that an attorney general at the time should be saying, well, we can't bring charges. But, we believe in a higher power, and we believe that sometimes it's not the right time, but you still get charged.
So Attorney General Keith Ellison, who famously brought the case against the officers that murdered George Floyd in the same state, what did he say about why he didn't feel charges were warranted?
He said if they wouldn't win. That's what he told me and the father of Amir Locke, my ex-husband.
They said is it because of the weapon, or did he not give you any reason?
Because the officer can feel, if they feel like a sense of threat or they felt threatened. Basically, that's what it was based off of. But how can you feel threatened when the body cam footage shows that my son never pointed the weapon at any officer?
Well, and also he was asleep when he busted into the place. I mean, so you're not giving up on getting charges brought?
I will never give up. Never. It's all in God's timing, and we are parents of. We believe in a higher power, and we know that we move with patience and we move in silence. Amir will get all forms of justice.
I love your conviction. What about the federal civil rights level? I know you're reaching out to the feds. What's their response, or are you getting a response?
Well, they came down. I spoke in front of the United Nations, the Elmlers, when they came into Minnesota at the U of M last year, and I was one of the impacted families that spoke, and they actually came down with a decree on the federal level in Minnesota. So they actually have two decrees. One is from the Department of Human Rights for the police, and then also on the federal level. So right now we're actually in, litigation. So we're doing everything that we need to do to get justice for Amir.
When we continue this conversation, Karen Wells, I want to go back a little bit. I want to talk about your son, who your son was, because I think a lot of times that is the story that is never told. When our children's lives are stolen, that we don't get to know who that person is, other than the disparagement of them in the media. And this is a personal quest. I would love to see some federal legislation that outlaws, defaming victims of police violence ahead of any legal action. We're always told we can't speak about an ongoing investigation, but apparently it's no problem to impugn the character of the dead when you're the ones that are responsible for them. Was Amir Locke? Who is Amir Locke? From his mama, Karen Wells, who you heard her say right now will never give up on justice for Amir Locke. You're welcome into the conversation, 800-920-1580. We are the station that's elevating black and progressive voices around the clock, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Ooh, I'm so ready for this weekend away with my girl.
Hey, hit the road. How about some free gas?
Free gas? How?
Try new Febreze car for some serious freshness, and you can win gas for a full year. Visit Febreze.com to learn more.
Say less.
You may not win, but you're going to have a fresh smelling whip.
Thanks, DJ Fresh. Now how about some music?
Hey, yo, this next one goes out to new Febreze car for giving you a chance to win free gas.
No purchase necessary. Must be 18 to enter in 73124 for rules and how to enter. Visit Febreze.com.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. First, thank you for your support of KBLA Talk 1580. We deeply appreciate you. So, I get asked all the time, Tavis, when are you going to bring back that State of the Black Union symposium you used to do? You know the one where you had all those black intellectuals on stage every year and everybody watched all day live on C-SPAN? Yeah, I know the one.
Let's bring them back.
You go to KBLA1580.com right now. You can sign up to be in the audience here in Los Angeles when we go back live on C-SPAN with a stage full of black thinkers and influencers for a historic conversation. America has never seen a stage full of black folk talking about the urgency of now. Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. It's going down Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Admission is free, but you must register at KBLA1580.com. Once we reach capacity, you'll have to watch us on C-SPAN. But if you want to be in the room when we go live from Los Angeles, Tuesday, June 18th, head to KBLA1580.com right now to reserve your seat. Caring about the climate, caring about the community. With KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your blast.
I'm a deep upstate.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And we're in conversation with Karen Wells. She's the mother of Amir Locke, who was murdered by police in Minnesota in 2022. And Ms. Wells, I wonder if you could just talk to us about your boy.
Amir was my second child. I have an older son. He has an older brother. And he was a fun, loving, respectful young man. He respected his elders. He was wise beyond his years. He had an infectious smile. And when he would come in the room, he just had a wonderful personality. He was funny. He was very protective over his loved ones, his brother, sister, his older sister, me, his father. Amir was that one where he started a LLC. He came to me and asked me if I could help him start an LLC for him. And it's called Saving the Youth LLC. Unfortunately, he didn't get to branch it off and let it take off, but I am now over it. I will oversee it. And it goes to show you what type of mind frame Amir had as a young adult, because he wanted to save the youth. He designed a shoe as well, and he wanted to start a clothing line. and he was very musically inclined. He followed in the footsteps of his father, and he also had created some songs as well. And that's really what I miss about Amir. Amir was the type of person where I just want to go back and say, had they would have just knocked on the door, he would have opened it up and let them come in. And that's what I miss about my son, that, you know, and he was also the type of person when he was in school, he didn't like bullies. And he was always that one where if you didn't want to play with that person, he would play with that person. That's who Amir was.
Kind.
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
Did you know? Save the Youth LLC plus musical talents. Did he talk to you about what he wanted ultimately to be? Kind of when he succeeded in life. At he's a very young guy.
Actually, Amir was really in tuned in his generation. He saw where the generation was headed, and I took him to a rally for Trayvon Martin when he was 12 years old. And that was the first rally that he had ever attended. And it really sparked something in him. And I loved how Amir had said to me after we left, he said, Mom, why is everybody telling justice, if we don't get no justice, like no justice, no peace? And I said, well, that's what they do. And then he said, but if we don't get no justice, then they shouldn't get no peace. And that's what I loved about him. He was only 12 years old. And then who would have known that, 10 years later, I would have been going to a rally for my son. So Amir was always about, Mom, your generation needs to start, and then we need to come and follow. He knew that eventually the youth were going to take over and come behind us. And that's what Amir was looking forward to. He was talking about he wanted to help save the youth, save the world. That's just what his passion was.
Yeah.
So
that is just heartbreaking that you took him to a Trayvon Martin rally, and here you are working with Ben Crump, trying to get justice for your own child. Maybe 10 years later. That's devastating to even hear.
And we are working with Representative Ilhan. I want to talk about that when you said about federal levels. And she has presented a no-knock warrant, ban of no-knock warrants in the name of Amir Locke. And so she's working with our family to get that passed.
So when you say working with your family, I mean, what do you guys do? You show up and testify? Do you do protests? Do you do petitions? Do you enlist other families? Like, when you say you're working on legislation, what does that look like?
So that's something that we're working on with Representative Ilhan. Like I said, she's presenting that as far as, on that level. Regarding banning no-knock warrants and naming it after Amir. I've worked tirelessly, like I work with the other impacted families in Minnesota. I've met a lot of other impacted families across the United States. Our voices are powerful. And, we're going to continue to be boots on the ground. I'm not just going to just stop, even when the officers are charged, or if once you win a civil lawsuit or whatever, that doesn't bring back our loved ones. I'm never going to stop talking for Amir because on 2222, they silenced my baby. They stole his future. They stole his plan. They stole the Lamb of God. And because of that, they're going to continue to hear from his mother and his father and the rest of his family. We're not going anywhere. So I'm going to continue to just show up. If you call me, you want me there, I'm there. I don't say no. I'm not going to say no when it comes to Amir Locke.
When you take on these battles, it sounds like you're thinking about other people's kids. Molly Bell was in the chat saying the same thing. Even with the ban on no-knock warrants there in the state of Minnesota, where you no longer live. That's not going that's not going to bring back Amir, but it's important to you. Why?
Because it saves somebody that looks like his brother. It saves somebody that looks like my granddaughter. It's going to save somebody that looks like me, like you. This is not just, when Amir said he wanted to save the youth, it's save the youth. That means save other lives. It's not just about Amir. I don't want this to happen to somebody else, somebody else's child, because this is not an easy journey to be on. I don't want to be on this journey. I would have imagined that I would have got a phone call about my son being murdered by a police officer. Yeah. The worst phone call you could ever get.
No,
So,
I agree.
No, I want to save as many lives as I can. And that's why everybody needs to contact their legislatures and contact them and say, hey, and when you find out, say, what's going on with no-knock warrants in your city, in your communities, that you want them banned because they don't need to use no-knock warrants at all.
Yeah, and we've seen the results. I mean, especially as you pointed out near the beginning of this conversation, they were supposed to be looking for things, property, not people.
Property, not people. Not people at all. All you have to do is knock on the door and say, we have a search warrant to search for property. Okay, go ahead and come in.
Right.
You didn't need to bust in, quietly. You know what, to me, no-knock warrants are legal break-ins.
Yeah.
They're legal. They're made legal for officers. But at the end of the day, proportionately, African Americans, it affects us. And we are the ones with the higher numbers. We are the ones that is based off of race. That's why they utilize them. Like I told them, y'all knew that day when y'all went into that apartment that there was people of color, African Americans, that lived there. That's why you wanted to do the no-knock warrant.
Yeah. I mean, we saw with Breonna Taylor's case. Are you? I think I know the answer to this already, Ms. Wells, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you getting support from the National Rifle Association since your child had a legal weapon at his disposal?
No, but the Minnesota gun rights, right now offhand, I can't quote the actual name, but one of the guys there in Minnesota, he came out in support of our family.
Oh, I'm glad to
hear that. And of course, they didn't like that. Yeah, so to me, when I think of the NRA, I don't think it's never been for us, so I don't really need them to come out in support of my son at all. They can stay silent. We don't need them because I have something that's better than them. I have a higher power.
Yeah.
So that's what I walk with.
And those of us, we got 2 minutes before the news here, Karen Wells. We will continue on the other side of news, traffic, and sports. But for those who are listening that want to support, that want to help, we know you have a higher power, but those of us who got boots on the ground, what can we do?
I basically share his story, contact your local, your legislatures and talk about banning no-knock warrants in your community and, just continue across the United States just to be boots on the ground, support families that are on this journey in this situation because I don't want this to happen to another family. I don't want somebody else, to be, doing what I have to do and just, making sure that we just get all the support and love. We thank everybody that's been supporting us, since 2222 and, just to be there for us and just support us in any way. And also, we're featured in The Sound of the Police on Hulu.
That's a documentary, right? Yeah.
A documentary. And then we're working on my brother-in-law did a documentary called The No-Knock Warrant, the Amir Locke story, and right now we're just working on distribution with getting it to be seen throughout the United States and the world.
Yeah.
And it actually features over 56 body cam footage of what happened to my son.
Wow.
Because we want the world to know what they did, how the system was designed to do things like that to our people.
Of course, we connected through Black Lives Matter Grassroots, which is, got chapters around the country, and I know has been advocating on behalf of, working with you. It should always be the families taking the lead. But I was happy to connect with you guys through Black Lives Matter Grassroots. And when we come forward, I want to talk a little bit more about that, like how you interact with other impacted families and community-based organizations to amplify the power and the work that you're doing. You're welcome to call 800-920-1580. We're talking with Karen Wells. We're talking about Amir Locke, say his name, KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Stephen Munchin says he's still interested in buying TikTok. The former Treasury Secretary under Donald Trump told Bloomberg Television he's spoken to several tech companies about how to rebuild the app. President Biden recently signed a law requiring the Chinese company ByteDance to sell TikTok or have the app banned in the U.S. Georgia's appeals court will consider former President Donald Trump's appeal of a decision to not remove the district attorney from his election interference case in that state. In March, a judge ruled Fulton County DA African-American Pawnee Willis could remain on the case if Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade was removed from that case. Trump had tried to have Willis disqualified over a romantic relationship with Wade. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hey, DQ fans, cool off with their new summer blizzard treat menu. Try new picnic peach cobbler or snag a perfect beach treat like their new peanut butter cookie dough party. The new summer blizzard treat menu is one you won't want to miss, only at participating DQ locations. Happy taste good.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are in the middle of another one of their hot stretches. They beat Miami Wednesday for their 7th straight win. The Dodgers are 14-2 in their last 16 games. They lead San Diego by 6.5 in the NL West. In this 16-game stretch, the Dodgers have outscored their opponents 100-31. The pitching staff has a 1.74 earned run average. The Dodgers certainly have earned a day off today. They start a 6-game road trip Friday night in San Diego. The Angels took 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh. They're back on Friday night against Kansas City to kick off a 7-game homestand. Denver Nuggets center Nikola Jokic was voted NBA MVP for the 3rd time in 4 years. Jokic joins a very impressive list of NBA players who have won at least 3 MVP awards. Kareem, Magic, LeBron, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell, Larry Bird, and Moses Malone. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and Clear Skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweat, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more. I'm going out with the girls this weekend. Nails done, outfit stunner, and my skin, I know it's going to be glowing because I glammed up my shower routine with new Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. It smells so luxurious and moisturizes deep into my skin with its super rich, creamy lather that's bursting with vitamin B3. So my skin glows and my confidence grows. Try new Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash for glowing skin in just 14 days.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
City of Los Angeles landlords, verify your tenant's emergency renters assistance program status today. Tenants approved for rental assistance are protected from eviction for non-payment of rent through May 31st, 2024. Approved rental assistance applications protect tenants from eviction for non-payment of rent. Refusing to accept rental assistance based on their source of income is illegal under law and can be used as a defense in an eviction case. Check your tenant's application status now at housing.lacity.org. That's housing.lacity.org.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
We're talking this morning with Karen Wells, who is the mother of Amir Locke. Amir was murdered by Minneapolis Police. The Attorney General, Keith Ellison, who famously prosecuted in the George Floyd case, decided not to bring charges. The case against those officers for killing Floyd was actually in its midst when Amir was murdered by Minneapolis Police. Did it change anything for you? Do you think it amplified it or bring any light to it in any way? The fact of, those coincidences?
You mean as far as, you mean doing like the George Floyd and then Amir Locke?
Yeah.
At the, I feel, to be honest with you, I feel like, and I know this might sound cliche, but I feel like I always said that my son and George Floyd would work together. And George Floyd is the mecca of the Twin Cities, because there's over 500 murders that have been done by the police throughout the Twin Cities. And so it doesn't, I feel like everything is about timing. And Amir knew what type of parents that he came from and what type of mother he had. And so he knows that I'm patient. I learned patience, and I feel like, it was huge for George Floyd, but that's just the beginning. Because George Floyd he's going to open it up for the rest of the murders that have been covered up in the Twin Cities, which is why I work alongside with a lot of the parents up there in that state, because we've been bringing light to the Twin Cities about some of the murders that were swept underneath the rug that nobody heard of. Mm-hmm. And now they're starting to hear about them.
MJ Scott in our YouTube chat says, thank you, Mrs. Wells, for using your strength. You are strong to help others on behalf of your son, Amir Locke. Yes, get rid of no-knock warrants. They're doing unreasonable harm, and that is an understatement. And, lots of folks in the chat are showing support and love for you. Bring us up to date where we are now. I was reading, doing prep for the show this morning, and I saw this sentencing of a young man who's connected to the case somehow, because that apartment was somehow affiliated with the apartment that your son was sleeping in, and this young man pleads guilty to robbery. Of course, that had nothing to do with your child. But where are you legally? Exactly. How does that impact you at all? Where is the civil case? And where are you? And you say you'll never give up on the criminal piece. Where are we with all of those legal pieces of the puzzle?
Here's the thing. Like I said, that young man is my nephew, and had basically let's just put this out there. They knew where my nephew was. So if they didn't let everybody else know they entered in that apartment that day, then they should have made sure that they let everybody know that that the nephew was not there. And that's why we're going to go back to the fact that that's why they did a search warrant for property for something else that had nothing to do with my son and the other occupants in that apartment. So it was a sloppy, botched up, no-knock warrant. That's what it was. And basically, if they would have did their due diligence and just walked in there, just knocked on the door, my son would still be here. You can't. And let's go back. They use a SWAT team, not just regular police officers. They use Minneapolis SWAT to enter in the apartment where my son was sleeping on the couch. It was a SWAT team for property. Not a person. And we already know that when you enter and when the SWAT is involved, 9 times out of 10, SWAT's not coming just to talk. They're not coming to talk to you.
Or find property, for that matter.
No, they come to find a body or to bring out a body, which is what they did. And but the fact of the matter is, if you were looking to bring out a body, you definitely got the wrong one. So you got the wrong family, you got the wrong son, but you got the right mother. And that's what we're dealing with right now. And we're dealing with everything. We're going to, like I said, we're going to continue. We're just moving forward on all avenues when it comes to my child. We're not going to give up. And with the power of the families in Minnesota, we're just opening up the gates.
So, but as of right now, there's no movement on the criminal piece, and I assume Attorney Crump is pursuing the civil piece.
Yes. We're just know that we're working on all forms of justice.
Okay, I know you can only say what you can say because you got cases underway. Talk to me about working with some of these organizations like BLM Grassroots, like the impacted families. Some have their own organizations. I know you've carried on Saving the Youth, your son's LLC. Tell me about working with these justice organizations and how that functions for you.
So right now I'm working with in Minnesota. It's called Family Serving Families Against Police Violence, and it is led by Shara Garraway, whose fiance was murdered, I believe, 14 years ago, Justin Tigan, by the St. Paul Police Department. Also, some of the officers, I want to bring that out to light, that some of the officers involved in all of our cases have been on the scene with all the other murders. So that lets you know
there's a pattern.
There's something going on. There's a problem. Yeah. There's a pattern, and so I'm really out there with different families. Valerie Castile for Philando Castile, Dante Wright, Katie Wright. Just a lot of them. Dealing with the George Floyd family. And Emmett Till, Deborah Watts, working with her, it's an ongoing thing where you have to find out that, it's not just your child. Because I raised my son, he's born and raised in the Twin Cities. And I never knew that they had so many murders by the police until it happened to Amir, and then other families. We allowed other families to come out and speak. And there were some of the killings and murders by police we never heard of. So it's a lot, but like I said, by the grace of God and my son carrying me from the other side, I can get up and I can do this and help other parents just as well as me still fighting for my son. But that's the kind of person that I was, and that's the kind of person that Amir was. Because some people ask me, how do you do it? And I said, because Amir was the same way that I was. We like to help people. And that's just who I am.
Karen Wells, mother of Amir Locke, Mother's Day is coming up on Sunday, and I know that's got to be tough. How has this impacted you personally, your spirit, your personal life?
I've gone through all the emotions that you could think of. I live through moments now. I don't have any type of plans. I don't even say I'm planning anything because I see what happened to my child. We had plans to do real estate together and do different things together, and now I have to do everything without my son being here in the flesh. I do self-care. You have to take care of yourself. I'm going to always walk around as a broken person. I'm very damaged. But one friend told me on this journey that I met another impacted mother whose son was murdered due to a stand your ground law in South Carolina. She explained and she said, we are unapologetically grieving. We don't have to explain anything to anybody because we can't even, how can I explain to you what I'm dealing with when I can't even understand it myself? Yes. So one thing that I want to tell people that you need to do, self-care is really important, and keeping your voice and being heard and keeping your child's name and saying their name, because who's going to do it better than the mother or the father? Yes. And like I said, I've been, Melina was awesome with Black Lives Matter. I've interviewed with her the year that it happened. I've been to the NAN convention. We've been there, in 2022, and then his father went last year to represent Amir. So, we just have to. One thing about it, no matter how tired you get. Gwen Carr, Eric Garner's mother, told me when I met her at the NAN convention, she said, Karen, no matter how tired you get, you always have to show up for your child and keep their name out there. And that's what I've been doing. That was, that I took her advice and I ran with it. And I just feel like, and now I'm unstoppable because I'm not going to stop at all. All they had to do was just wake my son up and ask him to identify himself. And when you shot him the first time, one time in the wrist, there was nothing else he could do. But he was shot 5 times. So I have a problem with that. And I'm not going nowhere.
As do I, and as do I think everyone in our KBLA delegation. We're talking with Karen Wells, the mother of Amir Locke, and continue the conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at LADWP.com/free trees. That's LADWP.com/free trees. It's time to upgrade your wellness. Experience Unboxed Wellness Your Way, presented by Health Matters Clinic, to unlock access to tools, tips, and local resources designed to empower you. Whether you're drawn to an energizing hip-hop yoga session or eager to boost your business or personal financial well-being, Unboxed has something tailored just for you. Get your tickets to join us on Friday, May 31st, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. by visiting www.healthmatters.clinic. Free event sponsored by Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Derek Jeter as the pinch hitter for your baseball team.
Jeter, you're in. We need a home run.
I'll give it a try. I've swung a bat once or twice.
That's out of here. Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One and a member FDIC.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Talking with Karen Wells, the unstoppable mama of Amir Locke. Amir Locke murdered by police in Minneapolis in 2022. After they executed a no-knock warrant at a home where he was staying, sleeping on the couch. I asked you about how this impacted you. What about the rest of the family? Amir's big brother and the rest of the family. How's it changed you guys or impacted you?
It has changed us tremendously. I also had a brother who was murdered in 1995, and it was unsolved. So I've been on the other side, and that was different. But the older brother, you could just tell how it's impacted everybody, and so I can relate to my older son like a sibling, because I went through that with my older brother. And then I have a 7-year-old granddaughter. She was 5 when it happened, and she's very wise and smart. It's really had an impact on her, a positive impact and a negative impact. My sister, Linda Tyler, and my brother-in-law, Andrew Tyler, they're working side by side with me and his father, Andre Locke Sr., and you can see the difference in them. Basically, it has moved us into fight mode, and we're a spiritual family, so, we're doing what we need to do. And it's impacted a lot. His cousins, Amir was he was raised with a village, and that's what I loved about it. My son was raised with love and with extended family members. My mother was alive at that time. My father, he knew the uncles and aunties, and so I love that he had that experience. But it's really hard. It's something that it's a pain that you can't describe. It almost feels like. Have you ever felt, I don't know if you ever felt it, but when someone tells you something happened and your heart stops?
Yeah.
That's what happened to me. My heart actually stopped beating for like a few seconds. I could feel it. And that's, it's very detrimental. I am no longer the Karen Wells that I was on 2/1 of 2022. I'm different.
Yeah.
And there's no way. I'm just different, and I've accepted that when I leave this earth, I'm going to die with a broken heart. because my heart is permanently damaged. And that's how I feel.
You know, you've repeatedly said that you turn to God, you know, in the church and in your beliefs, you know, your faith. How does that lift you up?
I'm a very spiritual person, and I understand that you could believe in God, but do you have a relationship with God? Yeah. Well, I have both. Yeah. And that is the reason why I am here. That is the reason why I'm not wearing orange is the new black, because people ask me all the time, how am I doing? I'm like, well, I'm doing pretty decent because I'm not wearing orange is the new black. And that's being real. So if it wasn't for me believing in my higher power, my Heavenly Father, and knowing that I have a relationship, I would not be able to be talking to you right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's first and foremost. And I came from a well-rounded family as well. I was raised with a village. So I have this type of upbringing inside of me where I came from strong women, and they showed me never give up, and I won't. And that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now. I was like this. I was this type of person even before while Amir was living, and even before I had children.
Officer Mark Hanneman shot your son within 10 seconds of opening that door. Is he still on the force?
Yes, he is still on the force.
So not only not prosecuted, still has his job.
Yes, still has his job. But, yes, he still has his job.
And the federal case that against the city of Minneapolis that they were asking for dismissal of that, is it still moving forward?
Yes, it still is.
So at some point you could, well, you've already said several times you won't stop until you get some justice and accountability. So at some point, this man could be held accountable. And certainly I would love it if you would keep in touch with us and so we can continue to track this case and say his name. What
I definitely will.
What else do you want people to know? Karen Wells, when you woke up this morning and you knew you were coming on KBLA, you set out to say and do something. I want to make sure we get that said and done before our time ends together.
I just want everybody to understand that when you see situations like this, it's not just the family's problem, it's our problem. This affects everybody that looks like my child. If you look like Amir, just know that you are a target. There's a target on your back. And we need to continue to uplift the families, continue to say their names, and just be supportive of each other. And, you know, like I said, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for even giving me this outlet to let everybody else know. And I just want people to know that when you talk about my son, don't say the young man, African-American male that was sleeping on the couch. Say his name when you talk about his story and share his story. My son's name is Amir Locke. He had a name, and that was my son.
Yes. And we just got about a minute here, but I think that sometimes, Karen Wells, we assume that because the media spotlight is no longer on the killings of Black people by police, that it's stopped or slowed down.
No, it has not, because right after Amir, in November of 2022, St. Paul PD killed. I say executed because they didn't die in a car accident, so they were executed or murdered. You pick or choose which one you want. And his name was Howard Johnson. He was 24. That was the same year as Amir. And this is in Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota. And then also, last year, they murdered Ricky Cobb on the highway, the sheriff. So they haven't stopped. They take a break, but they don't stop.
Well, Karen Wells, we really appreciate you sharing the story with us, and Godspeed to you and your family.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Say his name, Amir Locke. We will do our best to continue to bring you updates and continue to pray for victory for you and your family as we say his name, Amir Locke. I want to leave us with a quote, as I often do. This one from Malcolm X, because it's his birthday month. The truth, he says, is on the side of the oppressed. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got an incredible show on deck for you as usual. If you've missed anything, find our podcast absolutely free wherever you get your podcasts. Find them on YouTube, where they also live on video. I'm Dominique DiPrima. History is now, and we're making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Stephen Munchin says he's still interested in buying Bloomberg Television. He's spoken to several tech companies about how to rebuild the app. President Biden recently signed a law requiring the Chinese company ByteDance to sell TikTok or have the app banned.